So you hear all the buzz about LinkedIn. Do you ever wonder, how can I make use of that platform? I know I need to be on there, but I'm not quite sure what I need to do to reach my target audience and grow my business. You're going to learn all of that and so much more right here, right now on the Scale or Fail Show. To the Scale or Fail Show. I am Allison Maslan. I am your business growth mentor. And on the Scale or Fail Show, we are here to make your entrepreneurial road just a little bit easier by bringing on amazing guests that are sharing their inspiring road to success and powerful strategies. And that's what we're going to be doing today as we dive into LinkedIn, which seems to be one of the most powerful and the most mysterious platforms. I know that's what I've experienced. So we have the go-to LinkedIn expert here on the show today. I'm very excited to introduce Dennis Brown. He is a LinkedIn marketing expert, speaker, serial entrepreneur. He's built 3 multi-million-dollar companies in the past 25 years. His company was ranked by Inc. magazine 7 times on their coveted Inc. 500 fastest growing company list. He's also the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Successful LinkedIn Users. And so again, he is the go-to authority. We're going to be diving in on how he helps entrepreneurs, consultants, speakers, sales team to leverage their growth on LinkedIn. And in the last 8 years, he's generated over 20 million in new business for his company alone. That doesn't even include the businesses they help grow in LinkedIn. So he's also got a top-rated podcast that I was on recently called Growth Experts. So Dennis, welcome to the Scale or Fail Show.
Thank you, Allison. It was awesome. I really enjoyed our interview. Everybody should check that out for sure. You talked about your 5 stages of growth. It was awesome. So I really appreciate you having me on here. We'll talk about LinkedIn. We'll have a little fun and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, well, we enjoyed our conversation so much. When I was on your show, I said, hey, you got to come on mine. So yes. Here we are. We made it happen. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about your backstory, because it's not like you came on the scene and said, whoa, I'm a major fan of social media. Let's turn this into a business. Can you share how that all happened?
Sure. So I tell everyone, I've been an entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey about 25 years ago. The fast forward version of that is this. For the first 10 years, I got kicked off the horse. I had a lot of ups and downs, many failures, like a lot of stories that you hear. I had more than my fair share. And then finally got a traction with a couple of things. The last business that I grew was a B2B service company in the logistics arena. Took that company from startup, from 0 revenue to over 80 million in sales. And then I sold that in 2016. And it was during that time frame of building that business, that high growth business, that I stumbled into LinkedIn, literally stumbled into LinkedIn. You mentioned it was kind of like this mysterious platform, right? And so, at the time I was a self-proclaimed social media naysayer. I thought that I couldn't connect the dots between social media and business. Maybe I just don't have good vision. But ultimately I finally joined LinkedIn, and I tell everybody I joined for 2 reasons. One, I was looking for some new strategies to generate leads for my business, because we were growing so rapidly that, it was getting heavier and heavier to push that boulder every year after year. We did 1 million, then we did 3 million, then we did 6 million, then we did 12 million, and it was getting really heavy. And I said, maybe LinkedIn will work. And then on the other side of the coin, I wanted to prove everybody wrong and that I was right, because, I didn't believe that it would work. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. One thing led to another. 60 days later, I landed a 6-figure client and I became an instant believer. Isn't it amazing how that happens?
Yeah. It's amazing how it happens. But you brought the invisible into the visible, and you're like, holy cow.
Yes, exactly.
It does work.
Yeah. So I was immediately transformed from a naysayer into a zealot. and developed a system on how to market LinkedIn and generate leads and clients for my own business. I had no intentions of selling courses or coaching or consulting or anything. It was really, I was just scratching my own itch, and developed that system, taught it to my team. And then we were very fortunate to go on and generate hundreds and hundreds of clients and over $20 million in annual recurring revenue for that business. And then after I sold that business, I pivoted and accidentally ended up in a consulting business, which I now love and have a blast doing. But I work with a variety of different, you talked about the variety of different business owners and teaching them the system that I developed and how it continues to evolve. So that's kind of how we got here. I hope that was a short version. I don't want to bore everybody.
Yeah, no, I think I think it's way more powerful when you've experienced yourself. I mean, that's really why I do the work I do, because I spent 25 years building my own companies. And then it was like, okay, now I'll help others do the same. Right. So you're bringing
for sure
experience forward. And so, and then can you just share, how do you work with clients now? I mean, or actually, let me back up. What are some of the challenges that people come to you with? They're on LinkedIn, they're trying to get clients. What do you find that they struggle with the most?
Yeah. So a couple things. The conversation that I get hit with most often is, Dennis, I've been on LinkedIn for several years now, a year, 2, 5, 10 years. I've got X number of connections, 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever it is. And I'm just not generating any leads or any revenue from it. What am I doing wrong? Right. And so, they feel as though just because they're on the platform and that they're showing up, that, that the sky is going to rain down, clients and revenue. And we all know that hope is just not a very good strategy. Right. So I tell everybody, listen, here's the key. You don't have to be the smartest guy or gal. You don't even have to be the best entrepreneur. You don't have to be a prolific content creator. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Here's what you need. You need a simple system that you can follow consistently over an extended period of time, and you will see results. And it's no different on any other platform. LinkedIn's a little bit different. You said, there's some nuances to LinkedIn. There's a little bit different type of audience, a little bit different type of platform and type of content, but ultimately it's not that much different than the other platforms. You just need to be able to follow a proven system. So that's what I did. I created a proven system for our business. It worked. And then now I've parlayed that and help other people do that. But the cool part is that the system continues to evolve, right? So what worked 10 years ago doesn't work the same today. Just like every other platform, right? Marketers ruin everything, right? We know that, right? We ruin everything because once something works, we all rush to it and then it becomes burnout, right? So the system continues to evolve. The platform continues to evolve. But I can tell you right now, unequivocally, now is the absolute best time in the history of LinkedIn or social selling to be on LinkedIn, because it is like the Wild West, right? It's like Facebook in 2012, right? When it was really super hot and there was all kinds of organic, reach and engagement and it was going crazy. That's where LinkedIn is today. So if you've been sleeping on LinkedIn, you really should give it a try. Remember, that's what I did. And look where it took me. I can't promise that for you, but I think you'll have a lot of fun and I think you might see some great results.
Why do you think now all of a sudden? Because I was on LinkedIn in the beginning too, 2007 or whenever that was.
Yep.
And why now, 2020, is this all of a sudden so hot? I've noticed really like in this last year, and then they've come up with the LinkedIn Live and all that's just starting to happen.
Yeah. So I think now is the time, because a couple of things. Number one, the platform has become a lot more social. Previous, the platform had branded itself as this recruiting and job site, right? Kind of like a really glorified Monster or Career Builder or something like that with a little bit of communications in there. Obviously it wasn't a resume board, but it kind of initially formed with that type of feel, right? And then what happened is it started being used more for two things, sales and marketing, right? And then also, and as a big part of that is content distribution. So in the last few years, since Microsoft has acquired LinkedIn, I don't know if they're if it's connected or if it's just good timing or fortuitous, but ultimately LinkedIn has become a great platform for distribution of content, much like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all the other platforms, right? So I think right now, what you're going to find out is that the two networks right now, the two social networks that are getting the most organic reach and are giving the biggest bang for their buck from an organic perspective are LinkedIn and TikTok, right? Of all things, total opposite side of the spectrum, total different audience. LinkedIn being more professional, business, executive, TikTok being more your 9 to 15-year-old, crowd. But ultimately, those are the two that you have the biggest organic reach right now with. And so why I say that is because ultimately before that, content was a really tough play on LinkedIn. It was hard to get any reach. It was hard to get any engagement. I know I tried and I failed miserably at using content to try to generate any sort of awareness. And then something changed. Again, it was at or about that time with Microsoft. And then content became not only a play for the super influencers like the Richard Bransons and the Bill Gates and those guys. Of course, they're going to get distribution, but for an average person could go out and publish content and could get 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 views. They could get 100, 200, 500 engagements. That's when you can start reaching your target audience, assuming that you've obviously targeted them properly, you got the right type of content and that sort of stuff. But it's become really popular mainly from that perspective, from a content distribution perspective. And then also, some of the enhancements they've made, like first of all, they did organic video where you could actually upload video and not link out to YouTube. That's how they used to do it. And then they also have LinkedIn Live now and some other features. So some of the enhancements and the features have helped a lot. But I think the content piece has been a big, big play that's drawn a lot of engagement.
Interesting. Because, well, it used to be when you're on Facebook, anyone that liked your page was going to see your content. Now we know it's like 1 to 2%. So are you saying that on LinkedIn, if people are following you, it's going to be on their feed?
It's not going to be 100%, right? Just like it wasn't even in the heyday of LinkedIn, it wasn't 100%. But the more people that crowd to a platform, the more content that is on that platform, the harder it is for them to show everybody's content in a newsfeed. It's just math, right? But right now, if you want to build a following, you want to reach your target audience, now is the absolute best time to do that because of the organic reach. Now, it's going to change. I mean, I'll be very transparent. It's going to change. It might be a year from now. It might be 24 months from now. I think we've got a pretty good window. But the cool thing is that the early adopters, the people that come in and stake their claim, it's not like that audience is going to go away. You have a huge first mover advantage. And when I say it's weird saying you have a first mover advantage a decade into a business model.
Is that trippy?
Yeah, it really is, because back when I first jumped on LinkedIn, content was not the key. And they didn't even really distribute content. It was really more about connecting and messaging. There was a little bit of content going on. Yeah, groups was a big thing. And then that kind of fell apart. But I just think that right now you will get the biggest bang for your buck. I forgot what I did. I did for example, I think I did a quick look last month. On an average month, I get well over 1 million views to my content on LinkedIn every month, 100% free. I don't pay for any of that. Yeah. Now, if you tried to put if I tried to get those views, equivalent views on Facebook or on Instagram or on some other platform, and I had to pay for them, number one, I wouldn't be able to get it organically unless something really dramatic had happened and I had really, done something spectacular, right? Which, trust me, my content is good, but it's not spectacular. Ultimately, you're talking about probably something that might cost you $5,000 or $10,000 to try to equate to that same sort of reach, and you get it organic.
Yeah. You know what? While we're on here, I was actually looking to see my dashboard, and I can't remember how many followers I even have on LinkedIn. I got to look on here closer.
Hold on. I'll tell you right now.
And I don't see it. And we finally launched a business page.
Mm-hmm. You have about 19,000 followers, which is really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. You've got about 19,000 followers.
Yeah. Yep. And we are more active on there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that people pay you a lot of money to do your strategies. Can you just share with us like a little bit of your process? Sure. just so that we've got some people that can take some action steps here?
Sure. So here's what, because we're talking about content, well, let's focus in on that. There's a lot of, there's really three primary ways that you can grow your business using LinkedIn. One is you can do outreach, right? You can find them using search. You can engage them by sending a custom connection request, and then you can nurture and try to develop a relationship through messaging. That's one strategy. The other strategy is using LinkedIn ads. Now, I'm not a LinkedIn ads expert. I don't play one on TV, and I definitely don't recommend you follow me for that. AJ Wilcox would be a great guy for that if you're interested in LinkedIn ads. And then the other part of it is using organic reach, using content marketing, and using LinkedIn as a distribution platform. Let's hone in a little bit on that, right? Because that's kind of where we started. So we'll be able to create a little continuity there. So what I did in 2018, early in 2018, I decided to do a test. And what I did was I tracked everything that I did from a posting perspective. And my goal was to generate inbound leads using content marketing, right? Using that as a distribution platform. Well, over the course of the year, I documented all my wins, all my losses, the things that work. I was kind of like the crash test dummy of doing content on LinkedIn. And here's the results. What the results were is I generated over 2,500 inbound leads in 2018 alone.
Wow.
Just in 1 year. Those are all inbound leads, right? So those are people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, Dennis, I need some help with this. And typically this was LinkedIn or social selling, right?
Yeah, just for people to be clear, this is not you putting out
paid ads. Yeah.
Targeting people. This is
me doing an average of one post per day, organic, that was absolutely free. Sometimes those posts were quotes, sometimes they were videos, sometimes they were slide shares, sometimes they were images. They could, the whole gambit of different types of content. But through that content, through the messaging and through the targeting of that content to the right people, I was able to generate 2,500 inbound leads. And what I did is I created what I call my ultimate guide to generating inbound leads with LinkedIn. So it's a 22-page guide. It's absolutely free. I don't charge for it. So I won't be able to go over 22 pages, obviously, because we have kind of a short time window here, but I'll share a few things that I think are really important and relevant. And then at the end of this, if anybody wants that, they can absolutely get it for free. It costs you nothing. Okay. All right. So a couple of things that are really important. The first thing that when you're trying to generate inbound leads is you've got to optimize your profile. You got to fix your profile, because no matter how good your content is, if you've got a profile that's half done or half baked or is not making, let's just say they're not making a good first impression, you're going to lose that opportunity to start developing a relationship with that prospect, because ultimately anybody that looks into your content before they engage with you at any level asking you for help, they're going to look at your profile. So if you haven't optimized your profile, you definitely need to do that. There's tons of resources out there that you can look on that. You can go to my blog, askdennisbrown.com/blog, and there's some details there on how to optimize that. I don't really want to dive into that because I think that's pretty easy for you to do and it's out there. So optimizing your profile is the first step. After that, now we want to dive. Here's some things that you definitely want to consider, okay? The first thing you need to do is stop automating your LinkedIn updates. Now, we all have heard of, these softwares like Hootsuite and CoSchedule and Meet Edgar and all these softwares where you can schedule out your posts, weeks or months in advance. And it sounds great. It really does. And it's ideal for people that are busy. But guess what happens on LinkedIn? I've tested this, and people will argue with me till I'm blue in the face, but I've tested this. And what happens is, if LinkedIn knows that you are actually posting from a third-party software, they know that definitively, okay? Because they have to connect the API, right? So ultimately, because they know that, they're gonna decrease your reach on that post, which is gonna decrease your engagement, which is gonna decrease the overall value of your content and what you're doing there. So you need to start posting organically, and you need to start posting contextually. So what I mean by that is, even though you have a 1 minute or 2 minute video that you want to share on Facebook and you want to share on LinkedIn and you want to share on Instagram, you still have to contextually introduce them to each platform differently. Do you know what I mean by that? Because the audience is different. So maybe it's
an example like of the same video. So let's say I do a video on Facebook and I'm talking about I'm talking about,
The 5 stages of growth.
thank you.
There you
I
go.
can't think of my content, but you
That's
did.
okay.
Thank you for that. So what would be the different kind of introduction?
So the video could be the same. It doesn't necessarily have to be a different video, but the way you introduce it in the text component of your post might be different because the audience is a little different, right? So you need to recognize that every platform has their own context. I think you'd agree that how you communicate and the audience is different on Instagram versus Facebook versus LinkedIn versus that TikTok example I gave you, right? If you tried writing something that was normally acceptable on TikTok and you tried putting that into LinkedIn, it's not going to work, even if it's the same content. So contextual is important, right? But I think the main point that I want to pull from this is that you got to stop automating your posts, because I did it. I was automating my posts just so I could say I checked that box and that I was putting out a blog post or putting something out there. And what happened was my engagement skyrocketed. I went from 2 or 3 likes and maybe one comment per post to hundreds of engagements and an average of 10,000 plus views. And I'm not talking about taking years. I'm talking about that happened in like an 8-week period.
Okay.
Okay. So the same thing could happen for you if you leverage the same sort of, if you follow the process basically.
Okay. And then, what about just, communicating with people and starting up a conversation? And I'm sure that's somewhere in the system.
For sure.
Because, I can't keep up with the inbound messages that I get that are, hey, Allison, checked out your profile. I'm a financial consultant. Do you need any financial consulting? I'd like to hop on a phone call with you. And it's like, I'm so not interested.
Delete.
Yeah. And so, anyway, just would love your thoughts on that and some suggestions on better ways to.
So I'm going to give you 2 suggestions on messaging. One is, here's one of the most missed opportunities that LinkedIn users have. And it's one of the simplest ways to start a conversation with your target market. It's really simple. You've sent out a connection request to somebody in your target market, or they've sent you a connection request and somebody has accepted it. So we're now at bat, right? We're standing up at the plate. We got the bat in our hand. The pitcher's got the ball. He lobs it in, goes right over the plate. And guess what most people do? They watch it hit the glove and there's a strike. What they don't do is they don't take a swing. And what I mean by that is once you've accepted someone's connection request or they've accepted you and they're in your target market, the first thing you need to do is you need to send them a thank you message. And I know this is like mind-bending stuff here, but this is really simple way. And it's a huge opportunity because the fact is let me ask you this. How many people have you sent a connection request to or have connected with you, vice versa, either way, that actually sent you a meaningful thank you message that wasn't salesy?
Yeah, a small percentage. And
when you say small percentage, you're talking like 1, 2, 3, 5% maybe?
Yeah, exactly.
So that means 95%.
And I remember those.
Absolutely. And the reason being is because they're different, right? They're different. Most people don't send any message. They just think, well, I've now connected with them. And, because I'm now in a connection that they're going to call me when they need me. Well, that's not the case. That's not going to happen. There's too many options. There's too many choices. And so you need to differentiate yourself. And so that simple thank you message. So here's a perfect example. If you sent me a connection request or I sent you, however we got connected, the first thing I would do after I've realized that we're connected and it's been accepted, I would just simply send you a really simple thank you message. Thanks for connecting with me, Allison. Really appreciate it. The best way to get to know me is, and I might put a link to a piece of content that's relevant to you.
Yeah.
Something that's relevant to you. That might be my feed. It might be a specific piece of content. I'd put it in there. If I can be of any help, let me know. I'm here to help. Cheers, Dennis. That's it. Not pitching, not selling, not beating it, not trying to get him to download my ebook, not trying to get him to schedule an appointment. I'm just giving, right? I'm just being very giving in that perspective, and I'm not doing anything different. You'd be surprised. About 20 to 30% of the time, on a low average, 20 to 30% of the time, those people that I send a thank you message, message me back and ask me a question or thank me. And we now have the beginnings of an actual dialogue. Can you imagine what would happen is if you get 1,000 connections over the next year and you could have a conversation, a real conversation with just 100 or 200 of them, what would it do for the average person's business if they were the right people? It would skyrocket their business, right? And that is such a simple, I mean, I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that is something that most people are just completely missing the boat, right? So that's one example of how messaging can be used. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll give another example that stands out for me is if somebody reads a post that I have had done or an article, and then will message and say, I love what you said about X, you know, and this is what I think about it, and, you know, keep posting or whatever. Because then it's just like having a normal conversation, or you're sitting with someone at dinner. They have taken the time to get to know you a little bit, and they're actually engaging.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great example. I mean, because it's relevant and it's contextual. It's relevant to you and it's contextual because it's your content or it's your comment that you made on somebody else's content. So let me give you one more. And then I don't know where you want to take this, but I want to give you something that I think is really helpful and easy for people. Because there's a lot of people that don't want to create content, right? Content is the big binder, right? They don't have time, or they don't have the resources to hire a team, or whatever the case, whatever the excuse they make, ultimately they believe they don't have time to create content. So I'm going to give you a way without even creating content, how you can start tapping in to the influence and the celebrity of other people on LinkedIn. So let's say, for example, my target audience followed Allison, right? Because there were some correlations. Maybe we're not competitors, but maybe she does a lot of business with coaches or something, right? And we don't have a competitive service, but I want to get to coaches. So perfect example, she's got a lot of people that engage with her in and around her content. So if she does a post on LinkedIn and let's say it gets 5 or 10,000 views and a couple hundred likes and engagements, I go to her, I find her as an influencer. I go to her profile, I find her content, I look at who's engaging in the content, actually commenting in the content. I see who's my target market because I can quickly gather some sales intelligence from their profile. And then from there, what I do is I simply connect with those people. I send a custom invite, and here's how it goes. It says something like this. Hey, I see you follow Allison Maslan. I saw you also, commented on one of her posts. I'm a big fan. Curious if you're open to connecting. Cheers, Dennis, right? Super simple. It's contextual, it's relevant, and they're my target market. So I've now connected with somebody. And now when they accept my connection request, I send that thank you message and I actually start a conversation. It's amazing what can happen when you start a conversation with the right people, right? I mean, again, this is really, high level, brain surgery here. It's not. But sometimes 1 + 1 = 2, right? I mean,
it's rapport. You already have that common denominator.
Yes.
Bumps things up several stages.
I find that strategy gets about a 70 to 80% acceptance rate from getting new connections because of the fact that because then I'll engage with that same content, right? Because I mentioned somebody, I mentioned how they commented, I complimented them, and I made it easy and not salesy. They accept my connection request, and then we can start a dialogue. So that's an easy way that people that don't want to create content can piggyback off other people's content as a way to generate, and develop relationships with their target market. I mean, these are all simple things, but ultimately people just have to understand that you got to have a system. If you want to use other people's content, great. You can literally generate dozens and dozens of leads every week just with that strategy, right? If you want to use content, you can generate all kinds of leads with that strategy. If you want to do outreach by using search and finding them and sending out connection requests, maybe you're gathering sales intelligence off their profile, like their geography and their job and where they went to school and how long they've worked somewhere, and you can use that. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. The key is find one, try it, and then test it a little bit and see how it goes. I think you'll be surprised. It really works.
Yeah. I think we're always looking for these, I'm not looking, but I'm just saying in general, we think that it has to be complicated.
Yeah. People overcomplicate stuff.
That's even in business when we're teaching business strategy, I mean, if you want complicated, well, that's not our thing. But like what you just said, it just makes so much sense, you know, and sometimes it's just right under your nose. So thanks for sharing that. That's just really powerful. And that's something that people can get a lot of mileage with, connecting with the people that are already connecting with, you know, the people you're connecting with
Yeah,
online.
yeah, exactly. Find an influencer that your target market is following, go into their content, find the right audience, engage with them, send a connection request, make it relevant, and you're going to be shocked how well that really works. And you're 100% right. Entrepreneurs, salespeople, marketers, we always have a tendency to overcomplicate stuff. We want to make it harder than it is. It's really not that hard if you break it down and you think about who your target market is, and then turn the tides a little bit and think about how would you want to be approached, right? Bring it internal. You know as well as I do that you don't want to get that financial advisor pitch that you highlighted at the beginning of the interview. Hi, you know, I see we have a lot of the common connections. I'm a financial advisor. Will you please buy from me, right? Nobody wants a beggar. Nobody wants someone that's just using LinkedIn as a cold calling mechanism, because we can get that anywhere. You know, we've been hanging up on cold callers for years, and it's just as easy on LinkedIn.
And so that being one of the major snafus, mistakes, what are some others that you see people doing that you wish you could go, hey, stop doing that?
Yeah, one of the biggest one by far is what I call leading with your pitch, right? Being too salesy, being too aggressive. You know, they treat LinkedIn like it's, you know, you got to slow the process down. Social selling is more about planting seeds than it is, you know, closing people. I did a post the other day, and it was, you know, everybody's heard of that old sales movie, Glengarry Glen Ross with Alec Baldwin, ABC, always be closing. Those days are dead, right? Those days went out with the 80s and the early 90s, right? Since the proliferation of the internet and social, you know, now what you should be screaming is ABG, right? Always be giving. So I make a parallel between Alec Baldwin and Oprah Winfrey, right? Who would you rather buy from, Alec or Oprah, right? So don't beat people over your head with your pitch. That's the biggest thing. Secondary to that is probably the fact that they absolutely drop the ball on their profile. They don't realize the power of having a compelling profile. It's free, guys. You can set up the account for free. You can customize the profile for free. You can set up a custom header message, go over to fiverr.com and you can get a custom header made for $10. You know, you can use your headline better, right? Rather than putting your title in like CEO or VP, nobody cares what your title is. What they care is what's in it for me, right? So you can create a compelling headline. You know, having a good image in there, obviously, you know, your girlfriend or boyfriend cropped out or standing in front of your car, or having a blurry image, or putting the logo of your business and not your face. Those are all mistakes people make, but optimizing your profile, because you've heard it before. I didn't coin this phrase. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. And I don't care if you're on LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever you're at, right? You get one chance to make that good first impression. When you guys heard my voice, or if you saw this video and you saw my bald head, you made a first impression. One way or the other, you either liked me or you didn't like me. Hopefully that impression has changed in a short period of time if you didn't, but ultimately those first impressions are powerful, and that LinkedIn profile is really important. So those are a couple of the big ones. And then I think probably the third one is, let's see, those are two really big ones.
Well, what about, let's just switch it to the other side.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a feature or something that is really underutilized?
Oh my God, I'm glad you asked that. I'm so glad you asked that, because I would have totally forgot about this. There's two extremely powerful features on LinkedIn that nobody uses, and they're probably two of the most powerful features that LinkedIn even has altogether. Do you want to know what they are?
Yeah, I'm dying. I'm ready to take notes here.
All right. So LinkedIn has an app, right? You have a LinkedIn app, and a lot of people use the LinkedIn app for communicating, connecting, whatever, right? I don't know if you can see the app, but ultimately everybody's got a LinkedIn app, right? So on the LinkedIn app, in the messenger, right? When you send a message to somebody, what most people don't understand is if you click on the plus button next to the message at the bottom, so find somebody you've already sent a message to, click the plus button, you can actually record two things. You can record a fully customized video. You can record it right there and immediately send a one-to-one customized video. I love the jaw drop, by the
I
way.
never even knew that was there.
You could send a totally customized video via message. That could be your thank you video, thank you message. It could be just some sort of a customized message. You can also do the exact same thing with audio, right? So you can actually do the exact same thing with audio. The way you do that is next to the message. There's a little mic there. If you click on the mic, it'll actually record an audio message. So if you don't want to be on video because you didn't do your hair or you didn't brush your teeth or it's late at night or the lighting's horrible or whatever the case may be, you can record an audio message. These two features, I'm going to tell you right now, nobody uses them. You know who uses them? Me. You want to know how good they work? Amazing. And I'm probably going to let the cat out of the bag, but ultimately I feel bad because it's so simple. It's there and it's free.
Hidden there too, because it's not unless you are.
Yeah, totally agree. LinkedIn does not do a very good job highlighting these features.
Plus. Hello. Yeah, I had no idea. But
yeah, there's a bunch of other things on there too. You can schedule availability, you can do GIFs, you can do attachments. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yes. Okay. That's cool. All right. Anything else before we wrap up here?
So I think I think we gave them more than enough to chew on today. We talked about a lot. I think that those are a couple of the features that you might want to explore if you're already using LinkedIn. If you're not using LinkedIn a lot, make sure you start with optimizing your profile. If you're creating content on other channels, you should start introducing it to LinkedIn. Make sure it's contextual, like we talked about. And if you guys want access to that guide, I'll make sure that
can you go ahead and share how people get that?
Yeah, just go to askdennisbrown.com/guide, and it's absolutely free. You can put that in the show notes or however you want to do that. And then I would welcome anybody, if you have a question about LinkedIn because you're friends of Allison and the podcast, feel free to reach out to me, send me a custom connection request. In your request, say, I heard about you on Allison's podcast, and ask the question, and I will definitely answer your question. You know how you're going to get the answer? You're probably going to get an audio or a video from me answering the questions because I hate writing.
Perfect. This has been so informative. You really opened up my eyes on a lot of things. I see some mistakes that we're making, and obviously some little tools here on LinkedIn that we're going to start accessing.
Love it.
So I've loved this. So everybody, let's get Dennis's guide. We'll put the link below. And thank you so much for sharing all this with us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
For those of you that are here for the first time, please go go subscribe for the Scale or Fail Show. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. We are wherever you can find podcasts. We are putting out a new show every single week. And just connect with us. And if you like the show, please leave a review. Until next time, get out there, elevate yourself because you are worth it. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Allison.
From my experience, business owners think way too small. In this disruptive marketplace, you have to stay innovative or you won't be here anymore. Business is not easy, but you don't have to do it alone anymore. We take you by the hand every step of the way so that you can finally take those hopes and those dreams and make them a reality. I'm Allison Maslan. I am the founder and CEO of Pinnacle Global Network. We guide and empower business owners around the globe to grow and scale companies that change the world. Pinnacle Global Network is a private mentoring and mastermind network where our business owner clients are partnered with the CEO for private mentoring and small group masterminds, the most amazing live events, and a vibrant community of supportive entrepreneurs. In Pinnacle, we work with business owners that are at the 6, 7, or 8-figure level. They're established business owners that have been running their companies 5, 10, 20, or more years, and they're either stuck at the same level and they just can't get beyond that, or they've been on a great trajectory, but they want a much bigger leap. So my father was my biggest inspiration, and he built the largest chain of women's clothing stores from 1955 to the early 80s. And he had such a passion for his work, and that really rubbed off on me. I started my first business when I was 19 and have built 10 companies over the last 3 decades. And so now in Pinnacle Global Network, I take that wisdom and experience for all those years in business, and I get to pay it forward with my team to help our clients really grow and thrive.
We have an amazing team at Pinnacle Global Network, and it all stems from Allison. Her core values, her vision, her mission in life, and she really has attracted like-minded individuals who have the same vision and mission for our clients.
The team are a bunch of rock stars. These are some of the most talented, diverse, exciting, experienced people you'll ever meet.
They have all grown multi-million-dollar businesses, and they all really care about the client's success.
We know what it's like to start a business. We know what it's like to grow a business. We know what it's like to scale a business. We've been there. We know the ups and downs. We've made a ton of mistakes, and we now get to share the benefit of our experiences with all of our clients.
What clients who work with us can expect is to get all of us. We bring 100% of our heart, our head, our knowledge, our experience, our team to what someone's wanting to solve.
There's a lot of support out there for the startup business owner. So we really focus on the established business owner because something happens, like you get traction in your business and all of a sudden you're the forgotten entrepreneur. Business owners work really hard and they get overwhelmed, they get exhausted. And the truth is that if you're the one that is delivering your product or service, your business cannot scale. And so we help our clients build a team managed company so they're actually able to leave for a good period of time and the business continues to thrive. We work our Scale It method and help them figure out their multiplier so they can replicate themselves and their offering, and their business actually multiplies in profits and the number of people that they impact.
The Pinnacle community is just an incredible tribe of business owners that get together and speak the same language. Having people that are on the same path as you is so incredibly important and so powerful. It's a big part of our program.
When you come in as a business owner, growing a business or scaling a business, it gets lonely at the top. And this is an environment that you are never alone.
We become your advisory board. We actually will stand behind you. So when you take a step forward, guess what we do? We take a step forward so you can't go back. And so it's not just about business, it's about helping you be the best version of yourself.
So for businesses to really scale, the business owner has to move away from being a boss where they're micromanaging and telling people what to do, and basically then they have no life, to shifting into being a leader where they're empowering their team to stand up and take ownership so that they can take it and run with it, and the business owner actually then gets their life back.
And transformation is not an option when it comes to entrepreneurship. Transformation is required. As you grow your business, you get to a new level and you have to transform. As a person, as an organization, we're set apart because we help people transform. And that's probably our greatest challenge and our greatest strength.
Success is not created in a silo. Smart business owners know that if you want to get to the top, you have to work with someone that's been there, that's done it, that walks their talk. And so that you have this geo-force behind you and you get there in the fraction of the time. Having a coach is not just a luxury. It is one of the most important things that you can do to grow your business.